Cece's son, WB, suffered a mental breakdown after solitary confinement. Records show he has attended school only 62% of the time.
Since my son has been in Juvenile Hall, he has been on what they call program, where my son is locked in the room for, I believe it's 23 hours a day. And he's also been on what they call risk. Risk is a level up from program, and he's also been on maximum security, which is the last level where they completely lock him down and he doesn't have any communication. He has actually been kept in solitary confinement for as long as, I believe, up to 3 weeks to a month, with 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes before it's time to go to bed. No schooling, none whatsoever, the whole 3 weeks that he's in solitary confinement. My son's disability started, I believe, right before Juvenile Hall. I began to see signs. But once he entered Juvenile Hall, it got worse. And it continues to get worse. When my son was hospitalized, I did not know that Juvenile Hall had transferred him to the hospital until a nurse from Martinez Regional contacted me and said that my son was there. I asked why was my son there, and she told me that at that time he was not talking at all. He wasn't saying anything, that he was really out of it. He was just out of it, and that Juvenile Hall had told her how he had spread feces on the wall, how he had been talking to himself and having outbursts. The whole situation with my son's mental breakdown, I believe, came from Juvenile Hall. My son has never been withdrawn, not able to speak, not able to think. He couldn't remember dates, times, places. All he could remember was going to court. That was strange within itself. It was hard for me to let him go that day. I told my son, since the system was not educating him, that he needed to also be his own advocate, meaning when they let him out 30 minutes each time, if he was able to go to the library, get a dictionary, find a book with the most pages and read, and any words that he could not pronounce or did not know the meaning, he looked them up in a dictionary. I also asked my son to get a Bible and read Proverbs for wisdom to help him cope and make it through the times when he didn't think he would be able to make it. I don't understand how my son will catch up on 100 credits. He's almost 18 and graduate. I truly believe my son will not make it in Juvenile Hall. Education-wise, mentally, emotionally, and socially. And my son continuously tells me, Mom, I'm not crazy. I know I should be in school every day. My son tells me, I know, Mom, I should be playing sports. And I made a mistake, Mom. And if they ever let me out, I'll do better. But somehow, with him being in juvenile hall, I just don't see any hope. But he does have hopes and dreams. And it makes me sad every time I talk to him or see him and I look at him and see how juvenile hall has taken a kid who's made a mistake and completely tried to take all of his hopes and dreams. These are kids that need help. A lot of them are crying out for help, and no one is helping them. And I don't understand. I just don't understand.
Barbara's son, QG, has been in juvenile hall for nearly 3 years, every day falling farther behind in school.
He started in special ed when he was like probably first grade. I had him tested through the school district because I felt that he needed because he wasn't making progress in the classroom. And so they did test and found out that he had a vision problem, he had a learning disability, and he was really below grade level. So he was receiving speech and one-on-one counseling. So he went into special ed by first grade. Yes, he was diagnosed with ODD, which is oppositional defiant disorder. He was diagnosed with that about 8 years ago through SSI, the Social Security Administration, because he receives SSI for that. When he goes into, anytime he goes into solitary confinement, it's based on his ODD. With ODD, you have problems with kids being disrespectful, don't want to follow orders, are easily frustrated, very irritable, argumentative, and that's him. He feels like he's not making any progress, that he gives up. He's just like, I'm not doing the program, I don't want to do it, it's not doing me any good, because he's not really doing anything, he's just locked up. He's in this room for 23 hours a day if he's on program. If he's on risk, he's in this room for 23 hours and 45 minutes. When you're on program or risk, there's no interaction with any of the other kids. You can't eat your food with nobody else. You have to eat your food in your room. You have to be escorted to the bathroom. You can't even come down for a family visit without a double escort. I have to call and make an appointment if he's on risk or program. When he's on risk or program, he doesn't get any school education because he can't, from my understanding, I guess the school is right there on the mod. I guess it's like a little room that they have, but he doesn't get to go to that room because he can't interact with any of the other kids. So he just sits there every day doing nothing. And he did that for almost the last 3 years. Before we came back to Contra Costa County, he went to Juvenile Hall. We were in Fresno. He had a resource specialist. He had a speech therapist. He had a tutor that came to the house. He had home teaching, and they did psychological. And so the person that they sent out knew about ODD, had experience dealing with ODD. So my son was able to start making progress, and he went forward, and now he's been like 10 steps backwards, and he's going to be 18, and I don't see him getting any more services. And it's hard when you go in to see your child every week, and he's like, Mama, why am I still here? Well, I'm not getting no services, because I don't have an answer.